when detected early, breast cancer is totally curable. So what is the detection process, right? So that is what we are going to talk about, the breast cancer screening. Now, this one particular slide, I tried to compile everything, and then I will go into the challenges again, like limitations to mammogram. But what is the screening process? So from the age of 17 to 18, we really have to do the breast self-examination. That means that we have to understand, and I'm going to walk you through how to do the breast self-exam. We have to understand the look and feel of our breast to detect any abnormalities. Basically, like for example, how do I know how many white strands of hair I have? Because I am observing. In the same way, we have to be very vigilant about the look and feel of our breast. Now, that goes as the self breast exam. But then, what is the standard? The standard says that we can go for mammogram after the age of 40. That is, from the age of, like when I turned 40, doctor gynecologist told me you have to go for mammogram. I started to go for mammogram. Like it is my choice from the age of 45 to 54 every year, and 55 and above every 2 years. But then what happens to the younger population? And even when we have mammogram is once a year. But then a lot of women, they told me that they had their mammogram and they were so relaxed and relieved that they don't have to worry. But then they felt a lump eventually in 6 months. So what I'm trying to say is that for the population, younger population or the older population, we have to do the breast self exam every month. And then we also have to go for a physical. That means we go to the doctor and the doctor does our clinical breast exam, which is very significant and important because this helps to detect many lumps. Now, saying that, when I'm talking about the developing countries, and I told many doctors in India, so many gynecologists who are women, they told me that this is the reaction. Why are you touching my breast? Nothing is wrong in my breast. I came for a situation in my reproductive organ. And the male doctors told me that it's very difficult to examine a woman's breast when they have come for some other concern. So that means that there is a cultural stigma over there. And my point is that we cannot complain all the time and we cannot break this taboo in one single day, but we have to provide a solution. That's what I'm going to talk about. But before going that, I also want to mention that though the protocol, the standard is that above 40 we have to go for a mammogram, but what happens to the population who are at high risk? That means that they have a family history of breast cancer. So do we ignore them totally, or what do we do? Because mammogram at the age of 40 may be too late for them. So who are at high risk? So that is very important that we understand the genetics of breast cancer and ovarian cancer too. So when in a family we have breast and ovarian cancer running, for example, the first relative like aunt, mom, grandma, or the cousins, then what we do is we go for we call this as mostly the hereditary breast and ovarian cancer syndrome, and we go for the genetic testing, which we call as the BRCA1 and the BRCA2 mutation testing. Now, when I say that, 5 to 10% of all cancers are inherited. That means 80 to 90% randomly this can happen to anyone. So it's not that, if I'm not having anyone in the family, I shouldn't worry. I should be concerned at all conditions. Now, when I'm thinking about the genetic mutation, the problem that I see is we are always thinking about the females. But we cannot forget the males, because the male, the father can also be the carrier, or they may be expressing the genetic mutation of BRCA1 or BRCA2, and this can be carried like 50% chances to the son, or it can affect the daughter also. So it's very important that if you know anyone having a family history, we should always recognize the man also equally as we recognize the daughter. We should also recognize the son to go for the testing, because that boy may not only be susceptible to breast cancer, but also to prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer, and other types of cancers too, so because they have the promoter now to develop cancer in all these organs. Now, is it only sufficient with the BRCA mutation? So I have seen many cases. They told me that, I'm so relieved my BRCA mutation is negative. But we should also know there are other high penetrance genes also. So I have stated over here, and there are moderate penetrance genes. So I always request everyone to do the panel, because when we have this moderate and the high penetrance genes beside the BRCA mutation, we are susceptible to breast cancer. So that means that population is vulnerable. For the male scenario, what are the reasons they can develop the breast cancer? So of course, the BRCA mutation, the high penetrance and other moderate penetrance genes, but there are other risk factors, for example, the aging, the radiation exposure, because, I don't know if you know this area in North Carolina, the Camp Lejeune, there were a lot of, there was a seepage disaster of arsenic radioactive materials which caused cancer in every household almost. And then many have developed breast cancer. Also, there are many men I know developing breast cancer who work in the atomic industry places. So what I'm trying to say is radiation exposure is important, that man may develop. Alcohol, consumption of alcohol, some liver diseases are also leading to breast cancer in men. Hormonal treatment, obesity, which causes underlying inflammation, can also lead to the breast cancer. Testicular conditions, guys, then also the gynecomastia when the males have more tissues. And there are other two signs which are called the Klinefelter syndrome and Cowden syndrome, which leads to the development, they're at high risk for male breast cancer. So it's very important that if you know this population, that we please become aware. And of course, this is the family history, the genetics, but also the other situation with the male breast cancer. Now, so these were the high risk population, right? So for the both females and the males. Now I'm going to talk about the screening that we always know that the gold standard for breast cancer screening is the mammogram. But then did we know that mammograms can also miss breast cancer? So she's Dr. Nancy Capello. She did her mammogram in the year 2004, and her mammogram came as a happy mammogram. There were no concerns. Now, one good thing in the US is that we go for a physical in the same way she went for a physical. Doctor did the clinical breast exam and they felt a big lump. And then when she did MRI, it came as stage 3C. That means it was pretty advanced. Now, her situation was she was so upset. She said, what happened? I did my mammogram religiously, and the doctor said, you have dense breast. Now, because of Dr. Nancy Capello, we lost her in 2019, but because of her, now all the states in the US, we get this letter that what kind of tissue we have. So what is this dense breast and why I'm talking about this? Now, this is the mammogram, which is the low dose X-ray of the breast. Now here, when we have our breast mammogram or the X-ray, it usually appears as a black background like this because our breast tissues are made up of mostly fatty tissue. But we women, we 60% of the chances times, we also have, in addition to fatty tissue, fibroglandular tissue, which we call as dense breast. Now, when we have dense breast, it appears as a white patch like this. And when we have heterogeneous dense breast, it's scattered, and homogeneous means it's totally dense breast. Now, why am I talking about this? Because when we have cancer or lesion, it appears as a white spot. It is basically finding a snowflake in the snowstorm, and that's how we can miss the cancer. So what are the additional tests? Like, for example, what I'm trying to do is working with the healthcare system also now, if we can make some changes to the healthcare policies. Now, in the US, the regular mammogram is becoming redundant. So what we are doing is more on the 3D mammogram. 3D mammogram or tomosynthesis. That means that, when I would request, when you're going for your mammogram, you hit the age 40, you go for mammogram, please request the doctor, the radiologist, if you can go for 3D mammogram because it gives better resolution so that you can diagnose dense. So dense breast, we only know through mammogram, but 3D mammogram is a better resolution. But many times 3D mammogram can also miss it. So at that point, what is an additional test? We can do breast ultrasound or MRI. So this particular slide has saved so many lives in the US and in wherever globally I'm doing webinars every day. And this is an eye opener because many patients told me that they were feeling the lump growing, but the mammogram came as negative, and then they pushed towards ultrasound and it came as positive that they were having the tumor. Because in India, for example, if I'm talking about mammogram and if I talk about 3D mammogram, that's not as much applicable. So when I'm talking, I have to think about all the scenarios. At that point, I tell everyone, when you go for your mammogram, ask your doctor if you have dense breast. If you have dense breast, additionally, you do an ultrasound. And the doctors are actually stepping up and doing both in parallel, so which is really, really helping. And in the US, that is what I tell that, because mammograms can miss 50% of the cancers if we have dense breast. So better to go for 3D mammogram. And in addition, ultrasound, if you really think that, we are not getting a clear picture. So, but then what happens? So this is what in the research scenario, I'm not going into details. These are the different areas I'm trying to tap into, so that bringing into the limelight, what is actually happening in the US. What are the reasons why we are getting late detection, and also why the cancer is progressing. So, and this was one of the reasons that we figured out. Now, but what happens to the younger women, right? Because in our support group, in our BCH support group, or when many women reach out to me, most of the time I find that they are very young, like 35, 37. This is a very recurrent age that I'm seeing. But what do we tell them? And also, when in urban India, when I thought of first starting breast cancer, my point was that if I'm going to these different places and I'm using this big versus mammogram, this will never work. So I have to give a solution. So that's when I felt that whatever the doctors are doing, the clinical breast exam, in the same way, we collaborated with the Sarah Cannon Cancer Institute breast oncologists, and Male Breast Cancer Coalition. And for the first time, we brought a breast cancer self-breast exam card for men and for women. And this is in a very simple way, like how we can save ourselves. And this is the simple step that you need to practice at home. Now, when doing that, my concern was that, I'll talk about it, like if I'm going to the villages and I'm giving it out in English, this will never work. So I'm so thankful to our Breast Cancer Hub volunteers for helping me to translate this. Now we have it in 24 languages, and this works like magic. But then how to do the breast self exam? Is it that, I suddenly remember today and I'm going to start doing the breast self exam? That shouldn't be that shouldn't be the case. So how do we do it? Basically, 7 day post our menstrual cycle. Like if we start our period today, 7 day from today, we have to do a breast self exam. Now, and for the women who hit menopause, and for the men, we just pick a date in the month and we do the same practice the next month, the same day. Now, in a sitting position and in a sleeping position, many breast cancer survivors told me that, like the heart floor worked very good for them. So what do? We stand in front of the mirror, we take our hands behind our head, and we look for any abnormality, any discharge from the nipple area, any swelling around the nipple area, any parts like any redness, any pimple, inverted nipple, like if there's a sudden change, sudden inverted nipple, then skin irritation or dimpling of the skin. Like for example, if you know the orange, if the skin of the orange is dimpled, so something like that suddenly happens, or redness, scaliness, or thickening of the nipple area. So these are the concerns. If you feel something like that is happening, immediately report to the doctor. The next thing is we take our hand behind our head and we start to examine from top to bottom. We have shown this in an arrow, but we also have to remember that the collarbone area and the underarm area, which is very important. When we are talking about breast self exam, it's just not the breast area, but the full chest area. We really examine it very well. And what do we expect if we are feeling something like a marble, like a mustard seed marble is slipping from a finger? So do not panic, because 95% times it will be benign, which is non-cancer, but 5% times if it is cancer, it's always better to be safe than sorry. So we just wait for a few days, and if we see that no, the symptoms are not going away, the lump is becoming sturdy, we immediately report to the doctor. We go, if we are young, probably they will do the ultrasound, then we do the imaging. If we have dense breast, we have to do additional ultrasound. So this is the protocol, and this is saving innumerable lives, because we have different proof, like for example, in India, this works like magic, because wherever I'm going, for example, this is in Hyderabad, this is in Chennai, this is in Assam, the breast self exam card in the local languages, women love it, men love it. The other thing is taking accountability, because I do not believe just going and giving lectures, because everyone should be able to reach out to us. So I give my WhatsApp number to everyone. That works very well, because WhatsApp is free all the time. And then but those who can email me, they have my email addresses. And the villagers will not have the phone, but the organizers have the phone, so they have my number. They reach out to me, I navigate them towards the hospitals, so that if they're below poverty line, then the government aid comes in. But to the diagnosis stand, we try from Breast Cancer Hub to help them even with the diagnosis part. So this also works very well in the US, in Africa, because in the US, these outreaches are done mostly, as I said, by our community leaders who are the students. They are talking about the early detection, the screening processes, and then of course, like, we take accountability. We work in the shelters in the US, and we work, so basically, connecting to the healthcare system, where I'm working with them so that these patients can get treatment very well. Now, this was about the screening process. Like, now we know that what are the different screening. Basically, if clinical breast exam, we have to go to the doctor, do the breast exam every year, once in a year. We have to do a breast self exam every month from the age of 17 to 18. We have to go for a mammogram. If we have dense breast, we have to do additional screening. For the high risk population, we have to do the screening earlier. And that is the key, because early detection is the key to saving lives, because the stages of breast cancer are stage 0, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. From stage 0 to stage 3, we can cure the patient. But if it goes to stage 4, it becomes very difficult. That means the cancer from the breast, it has spread to the distant organs. So, but from stage 0 to stage 3, we can cure the person. So it's important that we detect, and the earlier the stage is, the better it is. So that was the screening, and now I'm sure you are empowered to know how to do it. Please download the breast self exam card and share it in your network, so that you can also take step up to help save lives.